I'm upset. I want to marry a 60-year-old woman, but my father does not accept. I'm heartbroken. The woman I truly love is 60 years old, but my father refuses to accept our relationship. Everyone judges us because of our age difference, yet they don't know how deeply we care for each other. Will I choose my father's wishes, or will I fight for the love that changed my life? Stay until the end to hear the full story. There are moments in life when the heart and the world seem to move in different directions. We believe we have found someone who brings peace, kindness, and understanding into our lives, yet the people we love the most may see the situation very differently. Those moments test not only our emotions, but also our patience, wisdom, and character. My story is not about age. It is not about trying to prove anyone wrong. It is about learning that every important decision deserves careful thought, honest communication, and deep respect for everyone involved. The woman I admire is 60 years old. Many people notice only the number, but I notice something else. I see her calm nature, her kindness toward others, her wisdom gained through experience, and the quiet strength she carries every day. She listens without judging, um, speaks with respect, and reminds people that compassion is one of life's greatest gifts. When I first told my father about my feelings, I expected surprise, but I was not prepared for the disappointment on his face. He worried about the future. He questioned whether I truly understood what such a commitment would mean. His concerns came from love and a desire to protect me, even though his words were difficult to hear. For a long time, I felt caught between two people I respected deeply. One had given me life and guided me since childhood. The other had shown me patience, encouragement, and wisdom when I needed it most. I realized that choosing anger would solve nothing. What I needed instead was honesty, calm conversation, and the willingness to listen. That experience taught me an important lesson. Love is not only about strong feelings, it is also about responsibility, maturity, and understanding the consequences of our choices. Every lasting relationship requires trust, mutual respect, shared values, and thoughtful communication. My father and I eventually began talking without raising our voices. Instead of arguing, we asked questions. Instead of making assumptions, we tried to understand each other's perspective. Those conversations did not erase every disagreement overnight, but they replaced frustration with respect. That alone was a meaningful step forward. No matter what decision a person makes in life, it should never come from pressure, fear, or rebellion. it should come from careful reflection, honesty, and genuine care for everyone involved. The strongest decisions are those that can stand alongside kindness and integrity. This journey reminded me that families do not have to agree on everything to continue loving one another. Respect can exist even when opinions differ. Listening is often more powerful than shouting, and patience can open doors that anger never will. If my story offers any lesson, it is this: before making life changing decisions, take time to understand yourself, understand the people who care about you, and speak with wisdom instead of emotion alone. A peaceful heart, honest intentions, and respectful conversations create stronger relationships than conflict ever can. Whether others agree with our choices or not, we should always act with compassion, dignity, and responsibility. In the end, true love is measured not by dramatic words, but by respect, patience, honesty, and the courage to treat every person with kindness. After my conversation with my father, I spent many nights thinking about everything he had said. At first, I only remembered the words that hurt me, but as the days passed, I realized that behind every difficult sentence was a father's concern for his child. He was not trying to control my life. He was trying to protect me in the way he believed was best. That realization changed my attitude. Instead of seeing him as my opponent, I began seeing him as someone who loved me deeply, even if we disagreed. Love is not always expressed through approval. Sometimes it is expressed through questions, caution, and advice that we do not immediately understand. The woman I admired never encouraged me to argue with my family. In fact, she often reminded me that respect should always come first. She said that a relationship built on conflict could never bring lasting peace. Her wisdom made me pause and think more carefully about the future. One afternoon, we sat together in a quiet park. There was no pressure, no dramatic conversation, only honest words. She spoke about the importance of responsibility, patience, and making decisions that would bring peace instead of regret. She explained that true affection should never ask someone to abandon the people who have cared for them throughout their life. Her words stayed with me long after that conversation ended. I realized that maturity is not about insisting that we are always right. Maturity is the willingness to listen, to learn, and to accept that different people may see the same situation differently. Over the following weeks, I worked on rebuilding trust with my father. We shared meals together, talked about everyday life, and slowly returned to the close relationship we had always enjoyed. We still did not agree on everything, but we learned something far more valuable. We learned how to disagree respectfully. That experience taught me that communication is one of the strongest foundations of any relationship. Silence creates misunderstandings, while honest conversations create opportunities for healing. Even difficult discussions can strengthen relationships when they are guided by patience and mutual respect. I also discovered that happiness cannot be built on winning arguments. Real happiness grows when our hearts are calm, our intentions are sincere, and our actions reflect integrity. Every important decision deserves careful thought because its consequences often reach far beyond ourselves. Looking back, I understand that every challenge entered my life to teach me something valuable. It taught me to appreciate my family's love, to respect the wisdom of experience, and to understand that true commitment requires more than emotion alone. It requires responsibility, honesty, and willingness to think about the future. Today, I continue moving forward with hope rather than frustration. Whatever tomorrow brings, I want every decision I make to be guided by kindness, wisdom, and respect. Life becomes more meaningful when we choose understanding over anger, patience over pride, and peace over conflict. If this journey has taught me one lasting lesson, it is this: love should never divide hearts. Instead, it should inspire people to become more compassionate, more thoughtful, and more willing to understand one another. When we choose respect, even the hardest conversations can become the beginning of healing and a brighter future. Weeks passed, and I slowly realized that time has a way of softening emotions. My father was still unsure about my decision, but our conversations became calmer. Instead of speaking through frustration, we started speaking through understanding. We did not always reach the same conclusion, but we learned to respect each other's feelings. One evening, my father quietly asked me, "What is it that you truly admire about her?" For a moment, I remained silent. Then I answered from the heart, "I don't admire her because of her age. I admire her because she treats every person with kindness. She never speaks badly about others. She encourages people to learn, to forgive, and to remain grateful. She reminds me that true happiness comes from a peaceful heart, not from material things." My father listened carefully, without interrupting. It was the first time he had heard my thoughts instead of assumptions. That conversation did not solve everything, but it opened a door that had been closed for a long time. A few days later, I spoke with the woman again. She smiled gently and reminded me that respect should always guide every decision. She said, never let love become a reason to hurt your family. If a relationship is built on kindness and patience, it should also leave room for understanding. Her advice stayed with me. I realized that love is not about rushing important decisions. It is about giving everyone time to understand, to ask questions, and to adjust. Patience is often one of the greatest expressions of love. As the months passed, I focused on becoming a better person. I worked hard, continued learning, spent more time with my family, and treated everyone around me with respect. I wanted my actions to show maturity because actions often speak more clearly than words. Slowly, the atmosphere at home began to change. The arguments became fewer, the conversations became longer. We laughed together again, shared meals together, and remembered that family is strongest when people continue listening even during disagreement. This journey taught me that every difficult chapter carries an important lesson. Sometimes the lesson is patience, sometimes it is humility, sometimes it is learning to see life through another person's eyes. These lessons help us grow into wiser and more compassionate people. No matter what the future holds, I know one thing with certainty. I never want my choices to be driven by anger or rebellion. I want them to be guided by honesty, responsibility, and respect. Those values create peace that lasts far longer than any argument. Looking back, I no longer see this experience as a painful obstacle. Instead, I see it as a turning point that taught me the importance of communication, understanding, and emotional maturity. Every challenge gave me an opportunity